Questions for reflection. It seems there are new interpretations of the evil of Sodom. There's a wholesale effort to separate this incident from the homosexual lust which it revealed. Where do we get the word sodomy from anyway? We now hear the sin was a denial of hospitality. It certainly was a denial of hospitality, but it was also a heinous act of attempted homosexual abuse. There's no doubt that in the Catholic tradition, in the Hebrew scriptures, in the New Testament, in the fathers of the church, and in the writings of the saints, homosexual behavior, homosexual acts was the principal evil of Sodom and the sin that caused its destruction at the hand of God. And it must be exposed. It must be rejected. For one example, here are the words of Pope St. Gregory the Great, and I quote, "Sacred scripture itself confirms that sulfur evokes the stench of the flesh, as it speaks of the rain of fire and sulfur poured upon Sodom by the Lord." He had decided to punish Sodom for the crimes of the flesh, and the very type of punishment he chose emphasized the shame of that crime. For sulfur stinks and fire burns. And so it was just that Sodomites, burning with perverse desires arising from the flesh like stench, should perish by fire and sulfur, so that through this just punishment they'd realize the evil they had committed, led by a perverse desire. And our response? The psalmist leads us in the proper response to the Lord's call in our canticle today. "Probe me, Yahweh, examine me, test my heart and my mind in the fire. For your faithful love is before my eyes, and I live my life by your truth." Are we living our lives by the Lord's truth? Do we invite him to examine our lives daily? In the gospel appointed for today's Holy Mass, we have Matthew's account of Jesus sleeping in the boat in the midst of a violent storm, and the disciples succumb to fear. We can miss a real encounter with the Lord if we think that this account is only about Peter and the disciples, something distant which happened over 2 millennia ago. The fact is, this story is meant for you and for me, for the here and now. We live much of our daily life in what we can experience as the end of a night which seems like it will never end. Our daily lives seem to be lived in the midst of tumultuous waves of struggle. We're often filled with fear and crippled as a result, and unable to see the Lord right there on the horizon of hope. This story shows us the way to overcome fear through faith. It invites us to live differently, to walk on the waters of daily life by dynamic living faith. The winds and the sea still obey him.